Hello and welcome to the lights of the Losail International Circuit. We're in Qatar for round 12 of the 2015 FIA World Touring Car Championship, the last round of this year's campaign. My name is Tom Gaymore and alongside me is Matt Neal. And Matt, if the rest of the weekend is anything to go by, and I say weekend, we are racing on a Friday, so it's not quite the weekend, but it's got that weekend feel. We've got some cracking races ahead.
That's right, the King of Qatar has decided Sunday shall be Friday, so we're all racing on one Friday this weekend, or week, as we do it. But yeah, it's a new challenge, new circuit for the whole of the World Touring Car grid. And here we've got Francois Ribeiro, head of Eurosport and World Touring Cars, introducing some of the dignitaries at the front of the grid.
Yeah, so the reason we're racing on a Friday is due to a political clash, apparently. So the ruling body in Qatar applied to the FIA for a date change. So for the first time, World Touring Cars races on a Friday. For the first time, we race in Qatar. And for the first time, we race under those lights. This circuit opened in 2004. It's built at a cost of $58 million. The lights came a few years later, and that's because the bike riders got a little bit hot in daylight conditions, so they decided to install the lights in 2007, and that means we can race at night. It was actually the most technologically advanced floodlit venue anywhere in the world up until the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi was built, and that has now taken that mantle. But nevertheless, an iconic venue, an incredibly exciting venue, and a special venue.
Yeah, it's a long circuit too. It's over a 2-minute lap, the cars around here. So it's very hard for the drivers to pick up reference points. So it's very hard for the drivers to learn. It's a new circuit from all. So they've been trying to get a lot of mileage, cover a lot of ground with cars, with drivers, with the whole thing. So just to get up to speed.
So that man, Jose Maria Lopez, the world champion, crowned last time out in Thailand, his 7th pole position of 2015. He starts on the front row, and alongside him, Mehdi Banani. On the second row, it's Sebastian Loeb, 9-time world rally champion, and looking to outscore Ivan Muller tonight to secure the runners-up spot in the main championship. Hugo Vallant is alongside him. Nicky Katzberg, the first of the Ladas, on the 3rd row. And then it's Norby Michelis. And Norby Michelis trying his best to hold on to his advantage at the top of the Yokohama Drivers' Trophy. Mehdi Banani at the moment with the momentum, starting on the front row. So there is the check for our pole position winner. Jose Maria Lopez has probably got a wardrobe full of those.
Yeah, he's certainly done well out of that. I think that's his 9th pole position of the year, is it? But it was a spectacular lap this morning with unusual, the 2-day event with yesterday was really free practice and testing, which was held early in the morning and then late at night to simulate, give the drivers an insight into racing under the floodlights. So then we repeated that today. We had qualifying first thing this morning when it was slightly cooler in the not heat of the day, and now we're going to race into the night. So it's still going to be very warm for the drivers, very uncomfortable in those cockpits. We're still up in the early to mid-20s, but a very high humidity here.
Yeah, it is local time 9:30. I think that's the latest you've stayed up for a few years, isn't it, Matt?
I'm an early I was going to say an early riser, early to bed, but yeah, that's about right. But it's going to be something new. You know, we're going to test the headlights on these cars. You know, the headlights and the floodlights around the circuit. We had a bit of a sort of insight into it in Thailand 2 to 3 weeks ago. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Well, we're going to use this opportunity to get a quick commercial break under our belts. Then we'll be back on Eurosport with all the action from race 1 live. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the grid here in Qatar. And as I said a second ago, 9:30 local time. And as the drivers ready themselves, the anticipation builds. We saw the championship points just before we went into the commercial break, and the main talking point in the Drivers' Championship is the 2nd place battle between Sebastian Loeb and Ivan Muller. The gap was 5 points going into the weekend, but now that has eked out a little bit more, courtesy of Sebastian Loeb's 3 points in Q3 for his third place on the grid. Ivan Muller didn't make it through to Q3 and sounded a bit down and dejected, didn't he, after that?
Yeah, Muller's, you know, he's like the Hondas have struggled around here, the two Castrol Hondas. Muller was struggling for a bit of pace this weekend, so quite unusual considering, you know, Lopez is absolutely on it and Loeb's up in his normal place. So Ivan's his usual sort of not very forthcoming self, but, you know, we switch the grid round, we get the reverse grid for the second race. It's going to be advantage Muller for the points wise. So this race one is absolutely critical to Ivan Muller. He's got to sort of make hay and see if he can make up as many grid places as he can. This guy, Mar, is going to be a bit of a handicap for him. He's going to be, yeah, a bit of a stop in the bottle for Muller because he's got the same equipment and he is a hard racer and he's hard to get past, and they've got a bit of history as well. So Muller's going to have his work cut out. He needs to clear Mar very quickly and sort of try and make inroads to the other guys.
And the other main talking point is in the Yokohama Drivers' Trophy. And looking at that man there, Norbi Michelis, the Hungarian who leads the championship with 8 class wins in his Zengo Motorsport Honda Civic. His championship rival, Mehdi Banani, is on the front row. And Mehdi Banani, 3 of his 6 class wins coming in the last 4 races. And he's looked good this weekend. Yeah,
Michelis has been the class of the Yokohama Trophy all year. He's just been leading it all the way through. But it's as though the Banani in his Sebastian Loeb Racing Citroën was on it early on, and then he suddenly dropped away mid-season, and it's like they've turned the wick back up on Citroën, have given him a bit more to play with at the end of the season, and he's really coming on strong. And you've got to say he's got the pace on Norby at the moment. Norby's got points in the bag, but Banani's definitely got pace up his sleeve to take the attack to him to this weekend.
And Banani perfectly placed. If Jose Maria Lopez gets a good start, his pace is rather ominous. Banani will just try and keep on the coattails of the Argentinian and try and score as best as he can. Hugo Valent, he's someone that excites the pair of us.
Yeah, just a nice little shot of the underside of that Chevy there. I don't know if we get another one of that. You can see the double floor there just to try and get as much downforce and suction down from underneath. It's free downforce really, so it's not going to cost them in a straight line right with drag. But I think we're going down to Ben now.
And you got disqualified and you're still there.
Yeah, that's a bit of a relief. When I heard we were found too low in right height, I thought I had to start last twice. But then it was only Q3 time, which was taken away, so I'm still 5th, so not so bad.
And what's your approach for the race? Obviously, we know that you've been struggling a little bit with starts.
Yeah, approach is trying to do a better start. And then I think we will be pretty good. Last night we did a long run and we were fast, so let's see. But I actually do have to survive the start first.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Nicky Katzberg, the lead Lada Vesta, and he did a fantastic job in qualifying just to even get into Q3. That time in Q2 came pretty much out of nowhere. And if you compare that to Rob Huff, the Brit, struggling down on the 9th row, Katzberg certainly did find a white rabbit there.
This boy's where the entertainment is, Tom. Hugo Valent, fourth on the grid, ultra quick, super time in qualifying, but he is a proper loose cannon on deck when it comes to the races. Wherever he goes, devastation seems to follow. So I really can't wait to the start of the race to see what Hugo gets up to this time round. He's absolutely proper entertainment for us.
Yeah, on pole or around the pole, win it or bin it, certainly sums that up. And starting from the 2nd row, it's a long run down to turn 1. So if he gets the launch, he could really be a thorn in the side of the front row starters.
Yeah, and turn 1 here, it's a big, long right-hander, but it's a 180-degree hairpin. So they're going to be arriving there at thick end of 240k, 150 mile an hour before they have to hang on the anchors.
Much to everyone's shock and dismay, this is Sebastian Loeb's last couple of races in the World Touring Car Championship. Now, Sebastian, if I were you, I would want to get in that car. I'd want to take the 2nd in the championship away from Ivan Muller and prove a point against Citroën's decision. What's your thought?
Well, I think that I have to push hard for the last race. We will see how it finishes. Really doesn't matter, really, if I'm second or third, but it's a nice challenge, so I will try for sure. And for the rest, it's not my decision, so I have to accept it. And I have some great memories from the championship and from the past with Citroën, and now I'm looking for the future.
Thanks, Seb.
Now that is a big talking point. Alex down with Sebastian Loeb. He's not going to be on the grid in 2016, and a few rumours as to why that is, but one that really does rise to the top could be salary.
Yeah, I mean, Loeb was the talisman. He was the catalyst why Citroën came into World Touring Cars from rallying and, you know, took up the challenge. It's something he wanted to do, so it is quite bizarre. If they're going to drop one of the three drivers, it wouldn't be him, but he is paid by a country mile substantially more than the other two, and substantially more than anyone else on the grid. So if Citroën are looking at cost saving, which a lot of manufacturers are these days, then he's an obvious way to save a big chunk of money.
Yeah, he earns almost as much as you, doesn't he, Matt? Well, we're going to go for another commercial break, and then the race will follow. Welcome back to the Losail International Circuit. Formation lap underway. I think we've got some radio from Norby Michelis. Well, I was hoping he was going to do my job for me.
It's the final race for us here in Qatar. Under nice conditions. Right now we have to run the tires. And I have to tell you, we have to take more care about pressures and temperatures under conditions like this, because they are lower than we expected. Except this, I'm quite excited because, as you may know, I'm fighting for the Yokohama Drivers' Trophy, and I would like also to score some important points for the overall standings. So stay tuned. I hope you will enjoy the show, and hope to see you soon as well. Bye-bye.
Well, bearing in mind that's not his mother tongue, that's a good bit of commentary from Norby Michelis, multitasking, giving us the insight that so many of you want to know. But as the cars come through turn 16 here at the Losail circuit, we'll form the grid, and then we'll be all set for 12 laps of action. The first race of this 12th round of the 2015 FIA World Touring Car Championship about to get underway. Jose Maria Lopez, it is on pole position in the Citroën on the right-hand side of your screen. Alongside him, Mehdi Benani in the Sebastian Loeb Racing Citroën lines up alongside. And then it's Sebastian Loeb and Hugo Vallant with the day-glow orange highlights. The green flag waves, the red lights will burn on the top of your screen. The revs rise. It's a long wait. And we're finally underway here in Qatar. It's a very good start from Sebastian Loeb. Mehdi Benani going backwards on the front row, but it looks as though it's your pole man, Jose Maria Lopez, that will lead the field down into turn 1. It is, with Sebastian Loeb tucked up behind, bumping and boring Mehdi Benani into the back of Loeb, as he in turn is forced wide. And there's a Honda off in the background. Plenty of contact. Hugo Vallant going well in the RML. Chevrolet as well. Gabriele Tarquini, his weekend, or his Friday, goes from bad to worse. But a good start from Jose Maria Lopez. Sebastian Loeb bullied out of the way there, Matt.
Yes, a cracking start. I actually thought Michelitz was getting round the outside of Volante, and then Volante muscled him out. One of the Ladas getting a bit of a hard time there, whether it's Katzberg. The Ladas do have to be careful. The car's very, very fragile in traffic, so they have to be careful in these opening couple of laps.
The rear of Jose Maria Lopez's car bearing the war scars from turn 1. Sebastian Loeb filtered back. It was Nicky Katzberg, or was it? I'm not sure. It might have been, it can't have been Nicolas Lapierre, or could it have been Lapierre? Made a very, very good start. He started down on the 6th row in 11th place.
it just shows you how quickly things can shuffle around and change. Bernani didn't have a very good start. Loeb got the run on him, and Michelitz got all the way up round the outside and was on him just to take the fight in the Yokohama Trophy. And then suddenly, 3 corners later, it's all shaken up and rolled reversed again.
What it does show, Matt, is if you are nudged offline, how difficult it is as Hugo Volant goes wide. And that's on the exit of turn 14. Now they're through the kink, the left-hander that is turn 15. And down to turn 16, Volant under pressure from Sebastien Loeb, the recovering Sebastien Loeb, who gets up the inside of the Frenchman. Does he make it stick? We wait to find out. It looks as though he's made that stick. And it's the 2 Citroens of Yvan Muller and Marquin Croix who are fighting now. Marquin Croix with Yvan Muller hold up behind him. Muller will go to the outside as Volant is coming back at Sebastien Loeb. So the 2 Frenchmen going at it down the start and finish straight, and Volant living to fight another day.
This is actually great for Muller. It's going to keeping Loeb busy while Muller and Marr can use the opportunity to close up on them. A bit of all they need is a bit of carnage, a bit of fracas going up front, and then they can look for the opportunity to pounce.
So after the first lap, it is Jose Maria Lopez that leads in the factory Citroen. Then it's Mehdi Bernani and Sebastien Loeb rounding out the top 3. Hugo Volant still, well, no, Hugo Volant up to 3rd now. My timing screen is deceiving me. But as it stands behind him, Marquin Croix fighting with Yvan Muller. That is for 5th and 6th. And then it's the lead Larda Vesta of Nicolas Lapierre. Lapierre, one of the big gainers on that first lap, up from 12th to 7th. Poor old Nicky Katzberg in the sister car down to 9th. They've got the Honda of Norby Michelis in between them. He's in 8th. And Michelis with work to do because his title rival, Mehdi Bernani, up in 2nd place. And looking at that, Hugo Volant just moving away from Sebastien Loeb.
Which is exactly the opposite I thought was going to happen. You know, you've got Lopez and Bernani, who've really pinned their ears back and tried to make some air and some breathing space in between the others. But I thought Volant was going to be the cork in the bottle for the rest of them, especially the all-contouring Citroens coming through the pack. Still see Michelitz is sandwich in the Larda sandwich stuck there, but he just hasn't seemed to got the pace. He's well in front of the Castrol cars, but Tarquini, who was ballistic at in Thailand, coming through the grid. Oh, it looks like Montero's got a loose bonnet and Michelitz.
So is that a Honda issue? Because we've seen the Larda struggle on this 1.5 kilometre straight with the bonnet resonating, but certainly both Hondas there, I don't know if that's a legacy of damage, but that's going to hurt them because the air's going to get underneath that and really punish their straight line speed.
I mean, that's going into turn 2, which is not, it's like a 3rd, 4th gear corner, so they're not going to be pulling big speeds there.
And look at the bonnet behind of Thiago Montero. You can just see the whole bonnet of that Honda just resonating.
Yeah, neither of them have got damage on the front, so it looks like it could be, well, we've been on faster circuits than this before this year, so but it looks very odd, I must say, unless they've had an update or something.
And looking at Yvan Muller, he's still to get past Marquin Croix. You said that could be the case. That's going to be a dynamic that Yvan needs to change, and change quickly.
Yeah, the problem he's got is these cars, they are touring cars. They don't have the downforce of a Formula 1 car or a Formula car, but they are still very reliant on the downforce and the aero. So you can run close up behind someone, but only for a limited amount of time. In that time, you'll start to burn up your tyres and you'll lose grip. You also have to sort of sit back, set the car up, see where they're strong and you're strong, and then sort of make a move in that respect. Oh, is that Chilton just going for a move? Nice move down the inside of Huffy there.
Yeah, the 2 Brits fighting it out. Tom Chilton moves up to 13th place. Rob Huff in the Larda Vesta demoted to 14th. They're good friends.
Yeah, in fact, the only 2 Brits left in the championship now. We had 5 up till about last year, so it's a big change of the guard there. And
Rob Huff looks as though he's got back past Tom Chilton there. There's the Capsicum liveried Raul Motorsport Chevrolet Cruze of Tom Chilton, and ahead of him, the yellow Lada Vesta of Rob Huff.
Those Honda bonnets don't look as though they're going to make the race, do they?
No, they don't. Stefano D'Aste going defensive. That was Stefano D'Aste. Who's he fighting with?
D'Aste's around sandwiched between Montero and Coronel at the moment, so.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Lapierre, I think Montero has got past. Well, there's Lapierre, and there's one of the Lada Vestas, Nicky Katzberg as well in that mix. So 4 laps completed here in Qatar.
Yeah, both the Raul Chevrolets seem to be found a bit of pace since qualifying. They didn't do a stellar job in qualifying, but they definitely seem to be on the front foot, trying to sort of push the guys in front of them now.
Yes, Stefano D'Aste has got past Nicolas Lapierre, setting his sights on the rear of Thiago Montero, who's fighting on screen in the Honda Civic with one of the other Lada Vestas of Nicky Katzberg. Katzberg having to recover. He started on the 3rd row in 5th place and showing some of the pace that he had in qualifying now in the race up to 8th. This is a replay of the start. Talk us through it. Mehdi Benani just didn't get...
You get a demon start off low, but then he gets into the back of Lopez, and I don't actually know how Benani gets back around him. Tarquini jumped. He wasn't pushed there, was it, by the looks?
No, just a
cold
rotating
tires.
on the artificial grass.
Oh no, that looks like he got a hit. That does look like he got some a little bit of a help from behind.
Well, he got helped offline, didn't he? And it just cements the point that if you are offline here, it's incredibly tricky. And the circuit lined by artificial grass, which is effectively full of sand, it literally is like driving on ice. Five laps completed, and it's Jose Maria Lopez, the all-familiar phrase, out front ahead of Mehdi Benani. We're looking at Norman Michelis, who is fighting Mehdi Benani for the Yokohama Drivers' Trophy. And Michelis still languishing in 7th place, albeit ahead of Nicky Katzberg at the moment. But Nicky Katzberg on a charge, and you kind of get the impression, Matt, that Lada's going to continue to go forwards.
Yeah, I'm just more concerned about, looking at the points for the Yokohama Trophy, this is obviously going to close things up incredibly for that championship with Michelis three places back in the Yokohama Trophy. He's lying in 7th currently to Benani's 2nd, but there's obviously 1-2 independents in between them. So that's going to close it up, and it's going to be almost level points going into the second race if we finish this status quo. But then Michelis is going to have grid advantage into race 2. Benani's going to have speed advantage because that Citroen of his looks properly hooked up at the moment. He's lapping just 3/10 behind Lopez, which is, over 1.5 seconds quicker than Michelis at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the fastest laps of the race, a 2:01.6 for Jose Maria Lopez. And if you look, that is comfortably quicker than anybody else. 4/5 of a second quicker than the rest of the field. You can just see the Lada Sport Rosneft team looking on. There's Rob Huff, their man who's fighting for positions just outside of the top 10.
Huffy's made good progress considering he was down with the dead men in on the back row. He's moved up to 13th, so he's made up a good few places. But the problem is the cars are so evenly matched, and with this circuit, you can't go offline. We can see it's all bordered by this big pieces of AstroTurf, and that is to keep some of the sand, or try and keep some of the sand off the asphalt. But what it does is it retains the sand in it. So if we see some of the cars just put a wheel over it, either on the outside or the inside, you can see the dust and the sand picks up, and the hot, sticky, slick tyres then suck up all that sand, and it takes them a good few corners to clear them up. Yeah,
it drags the sand onto the circuit. Also, not too much in the way of support category around the schedule here in Qatar, and that means that the track just takes longer to be cleaned. So when you're not on the track say, between qualifying and race 1, it's again a case of having to try and clean the line. Marco Inquart just looking up. We saw into turn 1, ever so slightly outbraked himself. If you do that, the danger is if you do go offline, like we just said, you cannot bring the car back. And Ivan Muller doing his level best to try and force his teammate into a mistake. He would dearly like to get ahead of Marco Inquart here, because that would mean he would have Sebastian Loeb in his sights, albeit the Frenchman is up the road. The gap now, well, that's 4 seconds between Marco Inquart and Sebastian Loeb. They are 4th and 5th. You're looking at the battle for 12th. Tom Coronel leading that. Rob Huff in 13th. Then Tom Chilton in the Raul Motorsport Chevrolet run by RML. You can just see him, the black and red livery car, starting to put Rob Huff under pressure in the middle of the corner. Huff feeling the need to go slightly defensive into the last corner. That might hurt his minimum speed and his exit.
Yeah, Huff sandwiched between the 2 Raul Motorsport cars of Coronel and Chilton. Both in different liveries, obviously just because they've got different sponsorship agreements in that team, much like they do in NASCAR. But Chilton's on the move, isn't he? He's got great race pace at the moment.
Chilton's always good value in the races, though. He's maximum attack. Good to watch. And like I said, Rob Huff, Tom Chilton, good friends off the track, so they'll have plenty of respect for each other. Don't expect...
Chilton's sniffing. He's sniffing. Yeah. He's looking down the inside.
Don't expect Rob, though, to move over. And that's allowed Jean-Philippe to close up.
Now, Philippe doesn't want to do anything silly because he's got the race to front row start, or even pole, isn't it? So he wants to keep his nose clean, not get anything. So I would have thought Chilton's back should be pretty safe. He needs to focus on the Lada in front of him and see if he can get a Raul traffic jam going up the road.
It's Felipe and Tom Coronel that will start race 2 on the front row, courtesy of their Q2 performance in qualifying earlier on.
Now, what a lot of the drivers have been saying up to now, they are very conscious of tyre wear. It's a long circuit, 6 hairpins here, very scrabbly, low grip. So they're conscious of those. Michelin's mentioned on the outlap of tyre pressures increasing and also tyre wear. So, you know, the weight that the Citroens are carrying, 60 kilos, Honda 40 kilos. The Chevrolet, which we are seeing with Chilton and Coronel being good, they are the lightest car on the circuit, so they need to make this happen.
I was just about to say, the battle for 3rd is closing up. Hugo Vallant in the lead Chevrolet. He's under pressure now in the Campos Run Racing Chevy Cruze with the Dayglow yellow highlights. There he is leading Sebastian Loeb. Loeb in the factory run Citroën Elise. And will it be a case of Sebastian Loeb and that Citroën being kind of on its tyres? Certainly reeling Hugo Vallant back. And this is for the final podium position. And if Loeb can get past Hugo Vallant here, then that will give him more breathing space over Ivan Muller going into the 2nd race. It'll be another position if Ivan Muller can't get past Marco Inquart. Will there be team orders there?
Yeah, you would have thought Vallant, as the race goes on, with the weight advantage he's got, he should stretch its legs on Loeb. But Loeb, the last lap, he was 0.3 of a second quicker than anyone else on the circuit. So he's definitely got his head down and focused at the minute.
4 laps to go here in Qatar. The lead now out to 3 seconds. Jose Maria Lopez leads Mehdi Banani. We're looking at the battle for 3rd. Hugo Vallant, 6.4 seconds off the race lead, but with Sebastian Loeb right behind him. Then about 4 seconds behind them, Marco Inquart leading Ivan Muller. And then Nicky Katzberg on screen behind Norbert Michelis, who's 7th. Katzberg 8th. Then it's Thiago Montero and the effervescent Stefano D'Aste rounding out the top 10. Both myself and Matt Neal on Twitter. I'm at Tom Gaymore, Gaymor, and Matt at Matt Neal Racing. If you've got any questions, please do tweet them in. We'll try and get them answered as the race unfolds. Katzberg on the brakes very early through that turn 12, turn 13 section. I think he was carrying a little bit too much speed. And could the tyres on that Lada Vesta start to be going off? Tiago Monteiro will hope so. The Honda man in 9th place. Where's his teammate? Gabriele Tarquini's now passed Nasser Al-Attiyah. Al-Attiyah enjoying his first ever World Touring Car outing at his home venue, the Campos Racing
Tom.
Chevy
He's slow at the moment. He's 2 seconds off Monteiro and Michelitz's pace, so there's obviously something up with Tarquini's car.
Or maybe he picked up damage because he was hit in turn 1.
If he got hit in the right rear or something, he could have put his rear tracking out or any number of things, but he definitely looks walking wounded at the moment from the times he's posting. Oh, is that Carnell just running a bit wide there?
Question from Joshua Barrett saying Hugo Vallant is lighter than Sebastian Loeb. Why is that? Well, Sebastian Loeb has to carry 60 kilos of ballast in his Citroën, and well, the Chevrolet is carrying no ballast heading into this final round. The Lada Vesta carrying 10 kilos up from no ballast in Thailand last time out, and the Honda with a 40 kilo penalty. That's the balance of performance.
Just to explain the ballast system to everyone, it's done on quite a complex calculation schedule, which is from lap times of the fastest car of each mark from previous race meetings over every time session. So that will that takes into account. So because the Citroëns have been super fast, they carry the most weight of anybody, and then other cars, other marks, Honda, Lada have had great weekends, and so they've carried weight according on that. Honda have had a few really good weekends, strong weekends. Monteiro won the final race at Thailand before getting bumped out with ride height, but they've been up there in strong scoring positions, so they're carrying a bit more weight this weekend. Chevys and Ladas not so, because they've had a couple of rough weekends.
And the points or the balance of performance very different to, say, British touring cars. So any viewers in the UK watching in British touring cars, and I think you explained this in qualifying, the driver is penalised in terms of weight rather than the manufacturer or the car.
Yeah, in World Touring cars, which we're watching now, it's done by mark. So if some guy like Lopez is super quick, then it's really tough on all. Ooh. Got Muller having a look at Mar there. It's done on all the cars of that mark, so all the Citroëns will be the same weight, all the Ladas, all the Hondas, etc. In the UK, it's done on driver position in the championship, and then into race weekends races as the weekend goes on. But when you arrive in Britain, whoever arrives at at each race weekend leading the championship will carry more weight, and then it goes down pro rata, and that can be adjusted through the season as your championship position changes.
And the reason I bring that up is, let's say Ivan Muller got off to a bad start in 2015, and it was difficult for him to then really capitalise on, say, some pace he might have had under his sleeve, because he had the same penalty as Jose Maria Lopez, and then that brings the Hondas into play, the Ladas, the Chevrolets, and it's very difficult if you get off on the wrong foot to really use the car underneath you to try and get your points back.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not a fan of this system we're using here. You know, I'm a big supporter of what they use in the British Series. You want it to be a close championship, and people have whinged about carrying weight, but I would say if you're carrying weight, it means you've got points in the bag, and points make prizes. There's no substitute for that. So, you know, if you want a close championship with drivers to catch up, if they were running the British regs as they are, you know, in here in the world, Muller would have been running lighter all year, Lowe would have been running lighter all year, and suddenly they'd be much more, you know, in contention with Lopez coming into the final round.
Nasser Al-Attiyah on screen. Now, who of you on Twitter can give me the answer as to what sport he has won an Olympic medal in? He is a bronze medalist from London 2012. So as well as being the WRC2 champion and enjoying his debut weekend in World Touring Cars, he's also an Olympic medalist. You don't get that too often on the grid. On board now with Jose Maria Lopez. He has just been sublime. His gap now out front up to 5.3 seconds over Mehdi Banani. And it's fair to say, Matt, I was so impressed with him after qualifying. He's just been sublime. You run out of superlatives for this young man.
I think you just get a good car underneath you that's working, and you know, it comes suddenly, the job becomes easy. When you're in a car that you're fighting with, you're looking for something which is not there, and you know, it's all the ingredients, but you've got to have the team behind you. And if Citroën have been holding back on, you know, the Sébastien Loeb racing cars, then not Sébastien Loeb, of course, because he's in the factory car, but the Mehdi Benani and the Quincroix Marc car, then that would explain a lot. Suddenly Benani, bang, he doesn't know why, he just thinks this is fantastic, suddenly I'm at the front of the grid. But it's because Citroën now smell that they can nick the Yokohama trophy off Norby Michelitz as well.
So the Citroën team looking on, the Campos racing team looking on. Hugo Vallant, their man, still in that third place. And with the laps ticking down, he's good value for it at the moment. Sébastien Loeb here is in a difficult position. He can't risk too much. He can't afford to not finish. And you alluded to it earlier, there's no way that Hugo Vallant is going to give that third place up. He's going to fight tooth and nail for a podium in the final round. And Loeb has now gone off. So bit of respite for Hugo Vallant.
Rare mistake from the Frenchman as well, rare mistake.
Final lap here in Qatar. Going back to my question, well done all of those that said shooting. Jake Wilson, Tamara Alla, Felix Bowe-Rigby, men's skeet event. That's good stuff. Good general knowledge. I didn't know that coming into this weekend. I was very impressed.
Maybe it's because you mentioned it in qualifying just before, Tom. It could be a good giveaway.
Well, maybe not everyone was watching qualifying. So we're looking at Yvan Muller. Now he'll be sick of the sight of Marc Quincroix's Citroën, because he will dearly like to get ahead of his teammate. I said, would there be team orders? I don't think there will be, but at the moment it's Marc Quincroix who separates Yvan Muller from Sébastien Loeb. They're 4th, 5th and 6th, with Loeb leading Muller in this championship now, heading into race 2 later on. It's imperative that Yvan Muller gets all the points that he can muster to really stand the chance of finishing second. This is for second place overall in the Drivers' Championship.
That's right, Tom. If they finish in the order they're at now, then Loeb will have a 12-point advantage over Muller going into race 2, the final race of the season. So that would mean Muller would have to finish in the top 4 minimum, with Loeb not finishing. So Muller must look for big points in the second race and hope Loeb sort of gets stuck in a bit of traffic behind him.
And what's going to be interesting, let's try and work out where they start on the grid, Matt, because if they're next to each other, turn 1's going to be interesting.
Well, yeah, Muller should have the inside line for, I'm just looking at the grid off Mar,
Gregoire
shouldn't he?
de Moustier's been off. But now we're looking at Jose Maria Lopez, who's through turn 16. He's now going to move to the right-hand side and celebrate with his Citroën crew. He's about to cross the line for his 10th win of 2015. Another masterclass from Pachito Lopez, the Argentinian, proving why he's world champion. Mehdi Benani in second place. A really good run to the line from him. And Hugo Vallant holding on to that podium place. Well done to the Campos Racing man. Sébastien Loeb in 4th. Marc Quincroix does finish 5th, Matt, ahead of Yvan Muller.
Big result for Benani there, big result, best result I think of the season for him, if not alone equaling his best career result. So, and obviously Vallant proving me wrong. He drove a really solid race, and to hold off Loeb was no mean feat there.
Yeah, so Mehdi Benani, that is his first podium of 2015. Hugo Vallant with 2 podiums, a best finish of 2nd this year. But for Mehdi Benani, that is his first podium, and what a time to pull that out of the hat with his championship rival down in 7th place. Well, with all the action done from race 1, we'll head for a quick commercial break. Welcome back to Qatar, just in time to see Jose Maria Lopez arriving in Parc Fermé for his 10th win of 2015. He's going to run out of celebrations here.
Yeah, just uncoupling his air fed from the top of the thing. You can see the sweat coming through the overalls. 3 layers thick those. He'll have 2-layer thick Nomex underwear underneath, so he's got 5 layers, which will be pretty sudden. He'll want to be rehydrating as quickly as he can.
And that's not because he misread the weather forecast, that's because with all the fire regulations.
Yeah, unfortunately they can't do it with champagne out here either, especially not as they've got a second race. But
it's rose water out here, isn't it?
Rose water, nice and sticky.
And not fizzy. So Jose Maria Lopez congratulated by his Citroen crew. And there you can see the driver's points.
Here's a good one. Mehdi Banani, is he going to be crying? Is he going to be whooping? He's always good for a bit of emotion.
Let's see if we can zoom in on Mehdi Banani. We're still with Pachito Lopez. I'm sure we'll get an interview from him, Mehdi Banani and Hugo Vallant. And you can see the sweat being wiped away. 22 degrees, which means probably, what, 30 degrees in the car, Matt?
Oh no, they'll be north of 50 degrees, mid-50s in the car. So that's about 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
And that's like working out in your local sauna then. And that race, 22 minutes long. I think we're going to hear from our race winner.
Impression.
Yeah, well done for picking up on that. I missed that. So Jose Maria Lopez will be with Alexandra. There she is.
Do you think he'd get a proper afro if he grew his hair long?
Yeah, maybe. That could be one of your suggestions. Race control start of car 26 under investigation, which is Stefano D'Aste.
Lots of smiles and celebrations down here as Pachito, our 2015 world champion, wins the last race 1 of this year at Lusail International Circuit. That was superb. You won by a huge margin.
I was enjoying so much the car. I think we just got it right in the point, you know, during all weekend. It's amazing. I mean, it seems easy. The car is doing everything that I want and we want. So I think in a difficult track where everybody's struggling with a little bit of grip, to have this, I think it makes a huge difference. So thank you very much, Citroen and all the team. You know, it's a fantastic team, and you know, I think also it was nice for me to try to finish the season like this. Still one more fight, but we try to do a good race, and honestly, it's been an amazing season.
Great result. Well done, Pachito.
Yeah, well done indeed. And hopefully we'll hear from Mehdi Banani. As you can see, the race classification finishing second behind Jose Maria Lopez. Hugo Vallant rounding out the podium. Sebastian Loeb in 4th. And then Marquin Roy, that all-important 5th place ahead of Ivan Muller. I don't think that'll make Ivan Muller's mood any more buoyant than it was earlier.
Yes, it's good that we got Hugo Vallant in there, though, sort of upsetting the Citroen party. 5 Citroens in the top 6, but it was a good drive from him, solid drive.